Hey, I'm Ben,
And I'm Evan.
and welcome to Coffee Break.
Welcome back to Coffee Break. Thank you guys for joining us once again.
Yeah.
And today we had this idea that we would just sort of talk about music, really, because Ben and I have had so many conversations in the past just on our own about what we're listening to, what we've discovered. We've shown each other so many new things. And so we thought we'd dedicate an episode to that today. And starting off, I thought we would just really go back and talk about what we were introduced to growing up and sort of what we got accustomed to and how it shaped us going forward. Which for me, it was I'm the oldest of three boys. So when I was first born, like my parents, they really didn't know what was the kids' music to go to or what to like or what to do with any of that. So what it really ended up being was my dad had all of his CDs from college, which was just stuff from the 90s and even further back.
My dad went to college in like 1970. No CDs, tapes.
My dad had tapes too when he was a teenager, but by the time he was in college, CDs were coming around.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, like he's like, I don't even like any of this kid stuff anyway, so I'll just play what I like. So he would play Paul Simon.
I can see like, I ain't playing that.
No, he was like, I don't want to listen to like the Wiggles or
Rosie
whatever.
is not ringing around it anymore.
So yeah, he would play Neil Diamond, Paul Simon, like even like
Bunch
90s
of derps.
stuff.
So there's some two derpy
I
men.
love them both now so much. I would play like Soundgarden and like Pearl Jam and all those things. Like that's what I was so used to growing up. Like that was music to me. And I remember I loved the reason I say Paul Simon and Neil Diamond is because like growing up I just loved both of those guys so much. And like we had like greatest hits CDs of both of them, which we would I would play so much, and we would like go to Best Buy or like Circuit City or something back then.
Circuit City,
This is how long ago that was. And you just like have to get a new copy because I would like being a little kid, like you don't even really understand how to handle that. So I would just like frisbee it across the room.
It's just a different like, Mom, let's get his new CD. Like, oh no, it's the same CD, just a different album cover. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's still Neil Diamond.
Exactly. I'm being serious.
I could get you 3 Neil Diamond CDs in that drawer.
I'm
there.
sure everybody has got at least one album of his like in their attic or something.
My mother loves him.
I mean, but yeah, like just being a kid, you frisbee CDs across the room because like there's just like whatever I had in mind. But that's really what it was like just for me growing up. So, just nowadays, like I always find myself going back to that stuff and just stuff from that era. Like that's what I would always prefer to listen to.
Yeah. For me, I would have to say like, I would say the same thing, but I did listen to a lot of kids stuff growing up. But one thing I distinctively remember was me having one of those really small TVs with just a VHS.
Yeah, VCR in it.
VCR's little slip thing. And there was this is weird because it's also me today. There was a documentary I used to watch every single day before I went to bed. And I still watch things before I go to bed. That's how I fall asleep. I usually listen to something. And it was a Mozart slash Beethoven slash like some other composers, something like that, where it was just animals. It was so weird. Flocks. This is the weirdest thing. It may sound weird to you, but I remember there was this weird flamingo flock, and it was just like Beethoven in the background. It's so weird.
Well, it was kind of like those, like you ever see those like those baby Einstein videos, like they like put on for kids, where it's basically just like they have like shapes and colors on the TV, and it plays like Mozart in the background.
Yeah, because apparently it helps the baby.
Yeah, it does. Well, so they say.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing pretty fine right now, so
I'm good.
Yeah, I remember. I used to listen to a lot of that and watch it as well. But my dad definitely was a huge fan of music. Not as much as he is now, but he definitely, music was a huge part of his life because his family all sang. But growing up, as my dad's father was a pastor, so you got that, His mom sang in a choir. He sang in the choir at church when he growing up. My mom sang in the choir. My mom's father plays drums, and so very at the church. So it's a very listen to a lot of Christian music, mostly gospel. I'll tell you, like my very first album I'll never forget this was Kirk Franklin's album. Oh, if I could only remember the name of it, I still have it in my room. And my very first album I ever got was his, and I remember just listening to that every single day. That got me hyped. That was my hype music when I was probably like 6, 5.
The crazy thing about that is I never ever listened to gospel music that much other than like what was on the radio until I knew Ben. Honestly, I
Yeah.
never did.
Well,
And there was
Yeah.
just one day I remember you had like the Gaither vocal band or David Phelps on.
that
You're
me
like,
and me and Carter were talking on.
yeah, it's
Probably.
like you got to you're like you got to hear this guy, and so like I've just been like introduced to this like Southern gospel genre, which I've never listened to the first 17 years of my life, until like now I've just like been exposed to this, and it's like that's like just never what I've been used to, but it's been like so cool to like hear this new genre and some of that stuff they get really hyped with it.
Oh yeah, because it's great because it's music, and I feel like music is so big to the point where it could, it impacts a lot of people's lives. It's impacted all three of our lives
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
hefty, like pretty significantly.
for
So,
sure.
and I'll tell you one thing. So David Phelps, I didn't used to like. So I'll tell you. So David Phelps is a guy who I listen to a lot.
He's
Maybe
probably
Three
I would
times
put
a
him,
week, I'll like slap on some David Phelps for a very long time.
I would just call him one of the most talented like tenor vocalists
Yeah.
that's working today. He is so
He
unbelievable.
can sing very high. So, God bless you. So something that my dad introduced me to him, and at the time I was in I was in the ever so popular Michael Jackson stage
Mhm.
in 2008 when he died. So basically, when he died, I got addicted to his music.
Mhm.
And I'm talking, I had hats, I had gloves, I had shirts, I had socks, I had shoes. I had a dance tutorial DVD sent to me for $35 off Amazon. I beat Michael Jackson The Experience on Wii in 3 weeks.
That's actually
I
very
am
impressive.
a male, a heterosexual male, and I beat a Just Dance game. So that goes to say that I wasn't letting anybody stop me from saying Michael Jackson's the greatest of all time
Mhm.
just because he died.
That's the thing too.
He's a great. First of all, this is kind of me, like kind of revealing who I enjoy now. Before Bruno Mars, best entertainer, if you ask me, was Michael Jackson.
The thing too that I realize now, before Michael Jackson died, I knew who he was. Like I knew Thriller, I knew Billie Jean like a little bit. I really didn't know him that well until after he died.
Yeah,
Which is
I knew 3 songs.
Like that's the thing, and I don't mean to say that like that's the only way to like it reaches out to another audience,
Yeah.
obviously, but like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just I guess because he was such an influential figure, like during his lifetime. I think because I think to this day, Thriller is the best selling album of all
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And like I know it was even still in his lifetime, so
Mhm.
he was still a huge star. And so
Yeah.
I guess there was just so much press surrounding his death that I just like okay, I got to figure out who this guy is.
Yeah, and one thing that I remember is excuse me, when I first found out about Michael Jackson, I really got into CDs,
Hmm.
and I told myself, no, I'm gonna go from Motown Michael Jackson, so Jackson 5 all the
Mhm.
way up. When I started listening to Motown, this is the weirdest thing to this day. I still find it so weird that I did this. We had cable TV in my old house, and I would go in my parents' bedroom because it was the only TV that worked.
Hmm.
Sometimes, like the other TV would be really spotty, or Gigi would be on it, my sister. So I went to my parents' bedroom whenever we had summer, during summertime. That would be at work. My mom would be at work as well. So I'd be in there watching TV. I didn't watch SpongeBob. I didn't watch Disney Channel. I would watch infomercials. You know the channels that you would watch by, and it's like,
Yeah, for
get
sure.
your Brazilian butt today. One of those things. It wasn't
Sure.
it wasn't the Brazilian butt, but it was Motown classics. This is the weirdest thing I think I've done. Like, I did this for 3 years. I would watch these videos, and it would just be little previews of songs and music videos of old people sing, of Motown artists sing, and I would do this for hours on end, and I would fall asleep to it. I would sing to it. I would watch it, and it was so weird. But the thing is, like, I could give you 15 seconds of most Motown songs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you got Fats Domino, whatever his name is, Domino.
That's Domino?
Yeah, I found out what Blueberry Hill was, and then I came obsessed with the first 10 seconds of the song.
The thing that's crazy is that I didn't watch infomercials myself, but I actually have something similar to that, because the way it is with music is you hear one thing and it branches out to something else, and you discover something about this person's career, then this person played on their album here and he worked with this person, blah blah blah. And so when I was, I don't know, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, was when I was first like shown what iTunes is.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
what we originally used iTunes for was just burning our CDs into the computer. So you would have that, because like I didn't have an iPod at this point, like nobody had any of those. There's no such thing as an iPhone yet. And so you just put CDs into the computer and you can have those whenever, and then they would work for you whenever you had the computer open. So there was that, and we just had the CDs we had in there. And then like I'm sure the iTunes, like the store, was already a thing. I would spend so many hours just like on the iTunes store, just looking up artists that I knew and hearing like those 30-second
The
previews of their
demos,
songs.
you know, well, back then it used to be like 10 seconds.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like 45 seconds.
No, it's like a minute and a half now.
That's
You
crazy.
can hear like a minute and a half. Back then it was 30 seconds, maybe a minute.
Yeah.
But I would go through like every, like if there was an artist I like, I'd go through every single one of their albums, and I'd see, oh, they work with this person, they did this, they did that, this is later in their career. And I would just go back and forth like looking through all these things, which is, I guess, is essentially the same thing as the infomercials, because
Yeah.
I guess like I would just be hearing little snippets of these songs that I knew I would like, and I could just spend so many hours doing that.
Yeah, it's weird because like I would do that. I wouldn't just do that with music as well. I did it with like comedians, like Carol Burnett, if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know Carol Burnett.
I used to laugh my socks off just watching her. But yeah, like it's so weird how you can find, you know, the weirdest little things in music that cause you to start this whole
For sure.
this whole, you know, love of an artist or singing. And
Mhm.
I mean, to this day, I enjoy any Motown. Like you
Yeah.
ask Stevie Wonder, probably one of my favorite singers of all time.
We bump Stevie Wonder every time we're
Yeah.
in the car together. We'll always
Yeah.
sing along to that.
Yeah, so he's huge. I mean, Michael Jackson, I still find very, very talented man. I mean, just it's weird because like it's weird because like nowadays you don't really hear a lot about how people are like, oh yeah, I love Stevie Wonder. I love blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's sad because I'm not gonna be like that. Like, oh, it's sad. Oh, people don't appreciate.
No, because everybody likes their own thing. Everybody's used to different
The
things.
thing is,
and,
they
like,
know the songs too.
right.
Like, oh yeah, this is that song when the
Mhm.
harmonica comes
Yeah.
in. Like, yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
do that
it's it's a whole thing about like that I can talk about with just discovering music, because I wish there was like more, because I remember when I was younger, when there were still like stores that exclusively sold CDs.
Yeah.
I would go with my dad like so many
CD
weekends.
Castle.
There was
the
a
place that I
store.
went to.
There's a store I remember so well. There used to be two of them right around here. They're I don't even think they exist anymore. There was a store called Spin Again, which was it was just all CDs. And I would go there with my dad on weekends, and I would just like find something. I was like, oh, I know one song off of this album, or I would get the greatest hits of this guy or
Greatest
whoever.
Hits was huge.
Yeah. And then of course you have a CD player in your car, so I would just have that, and I had like a tiny little really crappy boom box that you could just play CDs off of and all that stuff.
Yeah. I have actually a really funny story about that, which is wow, that's so weird. That's in my head now. Wow. Okay, weird nostalgia moment. So when I used to live in my old house, I lived in this house where it was really old house. It was actually on school property. It
Mhm.
was the Snyderfield house, and I had this basketball court, and I loved like there's music. I needed music in order to play basketball. It was kind of weird. And back when I was younger, we didn't really have Bluetooth speakers
Oh no.
until I found a Bluetooth radio. This thing was, and like when I first found, and the thing is, it looked so old. The
Yeah.
thing was so old, and the thing is, you got to put it in the right spot on the floor. You got to hang it off a tree, like put it upside down in order to get some good signal. And I would listen to what used to be my favorite station of all time, 103.5 Mojo, greatest hits.
Oh yeah.
So I mean now, like I remember I used to play basketball to that every single day. Wow, that's weird. And I would like get made fun of because there would be softball games going on. Because there's a softball field in front of my. There used to be a softball field in front of my house, and I would play the music when I would play basketball while they were playing softball, and I would just get. Some guys would get just so mad at me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
You gotta have it going on. I had a story. I guess now it's there's so much convenience when it comes to getting music with just like YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all that type of stuff.
Pandora.
And as great as that is and as convenient as it is, it takes away a lot of the discovery of new things, I feel, because when you had to go buy a CD or you have to go buy, like back in the day, you had to go buy a tape or you had to go buy a record even. Like you have to buy the album and you have to go through and like find your favorite song. And a lot of the times if you're just listening to an album all the way through, you think, oh, well, I know I like this song, but here's this other song I've never heard before. And now I know I love this, and now I love this whole album. So, and what I worry about with like even people that like older music like we do, if you think that as soon as the 2000s hit, music just suddenly became terrible.
Well, I didn't even like 90s music. That's just me. I know. I don't like rock, that kind of rock.
Like alternative, like grunge type stuff. Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Tom Petty's cool, right? That's
Tom
90s.
Petty's not grunge.
Is he 90s though?
I mean, he released stuff in the 90s.
Yeah, that was like the only.
No, he had like him and the Heartbreakers like in the 70s even.
Don't do me like that.
Yeah, I think that was from the 70s. But if people like when they think, oh, as soon as 1999 became 2000, there's no good music left in the world anywhere. I worry that too many people have that mindset, and they think, like the people that listen to oldies, they think, oh, that's all I can ever listen to because that's the only quality thing that ever was made. And that's just not the case, because as much as I grew up listening to music that came out long before I was born, there's so many talented artists out there today that are they're just are waiting to be discovered.
Oh yeah.
And there's so much like to love that it's just come out in the last few years. And there's just so many, like I'll give an example right now. A guy that Carter introduced me to, a guy by the name of Jacob Collier. I would consider him one of the greatest musical geniuses in the world. And just the way he theorizes everything and the way he crafts everything. And this guy plays probably every instrument known to man, and he makes all of his own songs. He plays everything, produces it himself. And there's just so much talent like that that's out there, like to be discovered. And so with having all this convenience with like streaming and with Spotify, Apple, all that stuff, I would encourage people to like take a step back from going, oh, I know I like this song, so I'll only listen to this, and like look beyond that and let yourself branch out, like we talked about with going through albums, like even in the iTunes store on infomercials and everything, like because there's so much more even in the last few years that's so great that's to be discovered out there.
Yeah. And so I know about this Jacob Collier guy just because you guys talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean it's one of those things where I appreciate the music because it's just music, and I like how it sounds, whatnot. But the thing is, there's certain people out there who are just like, eh.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah. The thing is, there's so many genres of music out right now. Cause like, I think I have like 7 playlists on my phone. Cause I don't really like a lot of genres. So like, so far, like 7's a lot for me. Like I don't like country. I don't love country personally either, but I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people who see Shay is like they enjoy country a lot.
Yeah, which is great because everybody everybody's gonna hit everybody in a different way.
Yeah. But like I got rap on there when I work out. I can't work out with the Bee Gees. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I can't work out with Donna Summers in my ear.
Right. But with for me, like,
Ooh, excuse me.
just discovering, like I talked about before with gospel, I feel like in the last probably 5 years of my life, I've heard more genres than in all the rest of it combined. Because like I always knew about jazz music, but in the last few years, I've just really come to love it so much more and listen to so much more of it and hear about new artists. Because like with jazz, even it's like, oh, this person played with this person on this album, and they have a whole career of their own, and like all these different people have.
Now, are you talking about like vocalists or?
Well, vocalists too, but like I'm mostly talking about instrumental type
Yeah.
stuff. But it's the same with vocalists because just for whatever reason, just within that community, it seems like
Jazz is huge.
Yeah, jazz is it's so big, and like people would cover each other's songs, and like this person plays with this person, and everybody has their own discography and
Yeah.
their own like solo careers and everything, and
Yeah.
it's just so massive, and there's just so much out there.
I mean, when we go to jazz clubs,
Mm-hmm.
we go to a place downtown called Schwartz's, which is, I love the place. Yeah,
Yeah.
it may not be the nicest place in the world. Yeah.
No, I mean it's small, and it's not a
Very
doesn't look
chill.
Like, it doesn't look like a 5-star hotel, but
Yeah, it may have carpets on the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know where they're from.
But you go in there and you're looking at real musicians in front of you, like trying to like do what they're passionate about
Yeah.
and get their talents out to the public, which is so cool and so amazing to see. And the music is always phenomenal
Yeah.
over there.
And it's weird because, like, I like to see the people's reactions when we walk in. Because
Mhm.
we're a group of teenagers
Oh yeah.
coming into a jazz club.
The first time we went in there, we lowered the age average by 30 years. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. You know what's funny, because you brought up, like not big name musicians,
Mhm.
and this is kind of a joke between all of our friend group. There's this guy I follow on Instagram. His name is Steelo Sol.
Oh yes.
Now, Steelo Sol, he is a street performer, and I follow a lot of street performers on
Mhm.
Instagram. Like, there's a guy named Mike Young who he blew up the internet one day. He sang a big version of I don't even know what the song was. It was insane. He sang it in the subway with a guitarist, and he went on
Yeah.
America's Got Talent, made it to the finals of America's Got Talent.
Wow.
Now he's making, hits. He's on a world tour right now. So
Awesome.
Steelo Sol is this trombone player. You're probably thinking repulsive. Trombone. I always think of Jose.
Oh man.
But
Me
yeah,
too, but-
so just man who just plays trombone. But what the reason why he's different than most street performers is the passion he has.
yeah, and he sings too.
Yes.
And so if you see this guy on Instagram, like he'll be playing a melody on his trombone, then he'll just like throw it down real quick, then he'll just grab the microphone and just start
belting.
going for
yeah.
it, just like going all over the place. Like
He's
he
a
can hit these
beast.
crazy high notes for being just like a bearded man,
Yeah.
and you're hearing these crazy notes come out of him. But like you never really would think, oh, a trombone is the hip new instrument to be playing. But like this guy just makes it
Music,
he
dude.
makes it his own, and he makes it so cool. Which that's just, you see the passion coming out in him, and you see
Yeah.
like the musicality and everything.
Yeah, it's awesome because I mean, like, nowadays that's where social media is like insanely
Mhm.
good for music. I mean, I've seen videos online of like street performers doing, like, there's some sick beatboxers out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's some cool beatboxers out there. You got all the piano. Like, people will leave. Well, think about it this way: when you go to Graders and there's that piano outside,
Yeah.
you got that. I mean, there's so many cool things when it comes to music. But I mean, the thing is, they get a lot of looks at it as well. Like, they get a lot of looks on the media as well, and I think it's awesome.
Just like all that stuff, being able to share it with people is like really the beauty of it. And that's what I was getting at before with social media, is that like that's a way to share with people and to discover at the same time.
Yeah, but what there's something that always kind of sucks about the music industry when it comes to that
Mm-hmm.
is that, yeah, they're being their words being spread, like their music's being spread all over the social media platforms. But the thing is, they're not making a freaking penny.
Yeah,
Oh, they probably are, but
they are
you're
a
not
little
buying their
bit.
music. You're just listening to. That's this thing. That's what sucks about streaming as well.
There was a whole thing with Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith.
I love that, man.
He had a whole interview where he was talking about this new project he's been working on to try to get streaming companies to like give artists their due much more than they have been. Because there was a story of a very, very famous artist who had like best-selling albums in the 60s and 70s, and like famous, had like number ones like all through his career. And as soon as like physical music has been like on the downswing for so many years just with like digital stuff, there's been like so much money he's been owed from royalties and everything that he hasn't gotten. And so it was like there was something where he was owed somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 in royalties, and like whatever streaming company said, "Oh yeah, we'll give you 12,000, and like if you want more than that, we'll see you in court." So it was something like that. So I mean, now, and I'm not saying that like that streaming is evil or that it's like it's the worst thing ever, because it's not. Like
it's easy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
easy,
reason why it's fantastic.
But I do encourage people at the same time that you have all this convenience like at your fingertips and everything. If you have an artist that you love so much that you know you really, really enjoy what they do, like even if it's one song, one album, a little bit at a time.
I know people like the records. They still make records.
Exactly.
They'll make records.
Oh,
of
exactly.
CDs, yeah.
Like even if you're going on iTunes or something, like just give a little bit if you can to support them, to like to show that you actually like care about what they're doing and want to see them do more.
Unless it's like if it's like Drake, he doesn't need he doesn't need any more money.
I mean, yeah, like that's one way to look. I mean, I would say that more in people that aren't crazy world famous or anything like that. Phelps, but yeah,
Jacob Collier,
exactly. But like I would encourage people to do that. And like there has been, I know sales of actual like vinyl records have been going straight through the roof for the last
because
few years.
because it's aesthetic.
That's true.
Visco, Pinterest, you name it.
Yeah. I know, but I know there is a good like market for them out there, because I buy records myself.
Well, yeah, you have a fat stack of them.
I do. Like and that's like a way that I can feel like I try to give back to artists too. Like by like even if it's like older stuff, you at least have something physical like to show for it, and you have something to say like this is like a like even a memento sort of say.
Yeah.
Even like I of course don't use it just for aesthetic, but just stuff like
Dude,
that.
Dude, I love records. Yeah, it's such a vibe.
Tape them to my wall. Look at them.
Yeah, I'm gonna paint mine blue for no reason.
Yep.
Yeah, but like it's pretty cool how how younger people. This is what I always find really awesome about music is usually I have to introduce music to people, but I'm not mad about that. Like when I introduced David Phelps to you, Gospel to you, but like me having to find someone who actually knows the music. Like when I found out Carter enjoyed, I don't know what I'm doing with my hand right now. When I found out Carter enjoyed David Phelps, I was like shook. I was like, this man knows who David Phelps is. You were listening to it in the booth, and I was like,
he gets it.
My eyes were like, I couldn't believe my ears, because I've listened to this guy for 5 years, and I was like, there's no way. There's no way this man knows who this guy is. So that was awesome. And to know that you like Stevie Wonder as well.
Oh yeah, man.
And that, we like we like a good amount of music.
For sure.
And I'll shout out my boy Pierce, because we have a very, very strong relationship when it comes to music.
Oh yeah.
Me and that man, two guys, one mic. We used to sing when we were younger, so we listened to a lot of Beatles, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder. Marvin Gaye was huge for us.
Marvin Gaye is he's the man.
Yeah, he's awesome. So, I mean, just going back to all that stuff and how crazy music brings people together. I mean, music brought us together.
I mean, like I know that's almost a cliche thing to say
it
now.
It's kind of cringy
you hear
to
that
the
so
point
much,
of that,
but there really is so much truth to it. There really is, like, even if it's nothing more than, oh, you know this guy too. Oh, you've heard of this band before too. Like that's something that you have a bond with another person for. And I think showing somebody a new artist or showing somebody music that they've never heard of, then all of a sudden enjoy, is like that's one of the greatest gifts you can give someone.
Yes.
Which like I try to do as often as I can. I know you and Carter have both done for me countless times.
Voctive as well. Voctive was one of the other big names that
Mhm.
I got out there because what was his name? Colin. Colin actually enjoyed. I caught Colin singing a couple of Voctive songs the other day.
Mhm.
I was like, you have been listening. You have been hanging out with either me or Carter recently.
Yep.
He's like, yeah. I'm like,
But I mean, it's never a bad thing. It's
I
nothing
love
to be
it,
ashamed
dude.
of.
And the thing is, like, nowadays, so we can kind of transition to nowadays music
For
because
sure, yeah.
so I don't really listen too much. This is what really stinks. So I'm kind of I'm kind of a hypocrite when it comes to this. I don't listen to the radio often.
Mhm.
First of all, because I don't have a car. Rip. But second of all, because I have music on my phone.
Mhm.
And I'm usually in a show.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to that nonstop. So usually and the thing is, when I grow up, I want to be like on the radio.
Yeah.
So I'm barely listening to the radio. I listen to one thing, and it's on Sundays. Casey Kasem.
Oh yeah, American
Yep.
Top 40
Yep.
They have that on-
American Top 40. I listened last
on
night.
Sirius XM on the 70s channel. They have all of his old broadcasts. They play him every weekend.
It's great. I love it. But I don't. Whenever I used to listen to like summer of 2012 and 2015, every summer. My dad even used to do. My dad even joined in every single time. Q102, Kiss 107, 101.1 The Wiz, because there was actually like decent, like some good bops. So you
Yeah.
had like Katy Perry, who
Yeah.
we don't know what happened to her.
I don't know. If Katy Perry fans, I'm sorry,
Hey,
but like
yup.
you got your thing.
Yup.
I don't know much about her.
I mean, you got like a bunch of summer bangers. You got like one hit wonder. I miss the one hit wonders, dude. Now everybody just makes like, I mean, okay, there's no like, where's that one? They made the somebody that I used to know. Who
Oh,
sang that?
Gautier?
Sure,
No, I mean that was his name.
Gone.
I haven't heard of him since 2012
gone.
either.
Homie's gone.
Yep.
He made that in Split. You got I mean, you have so many oldie ones as well, but just going back to modern music, like it's hard for me to like enjoy a song because this is also where the music industry kind of flubs the dub. I don't know why I said it like that, but they rerun so much music.
That's true.
I mean, dear God, the song "Closer" by the Chainsmokers.
Mm.
That song was played maybe once every hour.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Because that's the thing. I now that I'm thinking about this more, like I get why like you thinking Casey Kasem and all his broadcasts from all those years ago. What kind of made them different was like he's playing the top 40 songs, not the top 4 songs. And that's another great that was another great way for people to discover music.
New music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would worry that radio stations are like repeating stuff too
Well,
much.
sometimes they do like the local spotlight, blah blah blah. You know, but yeah, there's like sometimes when I'm at night and I'm trying to find a good radio station if my phone's dead or something like that, and I don't want to play music, or if you're at Apple trying to charge your phone but you can't listen to music at the same time.
Still got my success, still loving it.
Rip. And I'm just like on like Wiz 101, 101.1 The Wiz. You got like, yeah, this is DJ Big Juicy Ham on track. Oh, we'll be spitting some bars with you, and it's like some repulsive remix of like God's Plan.
Oh man, I want to hear DJ Juicy Ham's show.
Do you know who that is?
Is that a real person?
Yes, he has a pink van.
I thought you were making that
No,
up.
he has gone to 5 Seasons 3 times in my time there.
5 Seasons is a tennis club close to us for those that don't know. But
DJ Juicy Ham.
I really thought you were making that name up.
I will get you his contact info right now.
I don't want it. I don't know if I want it.
Hey, speaking of DJs, we talk about DJs and how do you feel about DJs? Like to Chainsmokers, Steve Aoki.
You mean like EDM type of stuff?
Yeah. Not just not just EDM.
You mean like that make remixes?
Yeah, that as well. DJs.
Oh well, I feel like that's good for a certain setting.
Yeah.
Like if you have like I'll say like a nightclub type of setting, or you just have like a party or something like that. Like even a school dance, as we've come to be familiar with. I think that can be good for that setting. Ben's currently showing me a picture of DJ Juicy Ham, so I'll take a minute and look at this. Oh boy.
DJ Big Juicy Ham does bar mitzvahs, poolside parties, and business parties.
That's exactly what I was getting at with those type of settings. I think DJs are great for those
The
settings.
pink
Yeah,
van.
he's got a pink van. Oh my goodness. I think DJs are great for that type of thing. But when like anything beyond that, there's really a limit that a DJ can have when it comes to creativity if they're just remixing other people's songs. Like they can make their own beats to it, they can have their own melodies and whatever, but it's kind of limiting in a way. Which like I'll say even with EDM stuff, there's a lot more freedom in that too when you're kind of creating your own sounds and your own
Some of it
melodies.
sounds garbage though. Dude, you could really mess up a song by
You could. Like there's good and bad, but it's the same with everything.
You know who I really enjoy that some people like, but some people don't like. I really like Daft Punk.
I do too, actually.
Their earlier stuff was really good as well.
Around the world, around the world.
That you got that, and then you got of course one of the more popular things people know because Kanye West. You got the work it harder, make it better, the stronger.
Well,
song.
of course, everybody knows "We're Up All Night to Get Lucky."
That song's amazing. Okay. Usually when I listen to that song, I always pay attention to Pharrell.
Mm-hmm.
But like, the more I got to know who Daft Punk was, I was like, they legit just did that whole entire song. Like Pharrell did little to nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with EDM stuff, if like people creating their own sounds, like I saw. I know we talked about the Bunbury Festival in our last episode.
Yeah.
I saw Deadmau5 there one year.
Okay.
And he's an EDM artist.
Marshmello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a very, very famous EDM artist, and I've seen, like we've of course all know good and bad with EDM stuff, but he had almost a 2-hour set, and not
Those fans are insane.
yeah, they're crazy.
Oh my god.
But not one sound was the same. He kept it fresh. He kept it original with everything, which that's really hard to do. Like when you have like just like the computer and everything and just creating all those stuff.
Yeah.
But like if you're talented at that, there's a lot of creativity that can come from those.
I mean, you got Steve Aoki. The only reason why I know him because of NBA 2K10 celebrity basketball game.
I don't know. I ever played 2K10.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that could be. Well,
Hey,
with that podcast, I think I'll take a hot take on this right now. The NBA 2K13 soundtrack is probably my favorite soundtrack ever to be in a video game.
really?
Oh, so good.
Was Ron Artest Champions on that one?
I don't think so.
That was a bop.
Okay. I know we're going, I think, a little bit over the time we usually do, so I think we should wrap this up by let's do a couple shameless plugs. Like, what are we listening to right now?
All right, what am I listening to right now? Well, currently, another shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a show right now.
That's true.
We are in Les Mis, right? Les Mis, I can't say it. Right?
You know what it is.
Speech 100, yep. So, Les Mis, I've been listening to a lot of that. I've listened to a lot of Michael Bublé recently, but not new Michael Bublé, old Michael Bublé, as in his covers of other songs. Like
he does so many jazz classics.
Oh my gosh,
it's great.
He's fantastic.
On his new album, he did an Elvis cover that was just dynamite. It was so cool.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna look up the album actually because it is fantastic, and I think you should get a listen to it because it is called. It's the Call Me Irresponsible one.
Okay.
It is really good. One more. Actually, I'll do two more. Another one I'm listening to is Bruno Mars, just because I never stopped listening to Bruno Mars because I love that man.
Oh yeah, he is crazy talented.
Yeah, it's better to watch him sing than to listen to him sing because he's such an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
And another one I'll say. Let's see. I did say David Phelps earlier, but he has a bunch of old stuff out and he's not really doing. He's on tour right now.
Yeah.
So, one person that I thoroughly enjoy, and I'll say it again, is Stevie Wonder, just because the man's a beast and he is very talented, regardless of what it is. So that's all I'll say.
What I'm going to plug is I know I talked about like stuff from long before I was born at the beginning, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to list you a couple of artists that are all from within this decade just to prove to any other naysayers out there that there is still good music out there in the world. Like some of my favorites from the last few years, Father John Misty, one of the most brilliant lyricists I've ever heard. I've talked about him.
I saw a tweet on that, I'm pretty sure.
I've talked about him before. He's a singer-songwriter type, like a folk type of guy. Unbelievable lyricist. Like, I love him to death. A group called the Bleachers, who they're fronted by a guy who used to be in the band Fun, who you might know from like We Are Young, Some Nights.
He's got good voice. Is that the guy?
Not the guy who sings.
Oh,
the other guy in Fun. He has a group now called Bleachers. They had an album a couple years ago. I think they have 2 albums out right now. They're fantastic. A group that Carter showed me that I've fallen in love with ever since, Snarky Puppy, jazz fusion. They can do no wrong in my eyes. Let's see, what's one more I could list off here real quick. A group that I discovered recently through another one of my friends. They're more of an indie alternative group. They're called the War on Drugs. I don't know if they won a Grammy, but they won a bunch of awards for one of their albums they had a couple years ago. I think they had a new album last year, so they're great too. Those are just some off the top of my head from the last couple of years, but
let's put one in. Let's both put one in for rap because we haven't even talked about rap.
For rap, okay.
And I'll tell you one thing. This will be a little quick thing. I don't enjoy rap too much because there's just stories behind rap that I can't relate to. That's the reason why I like certain music, because I can relate to it. But there is one rap artist I enjoy the sound, not so much the lyrics. He's the weirdest man I've ever heard and watched and listened to. I enjoy Kanye West.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
Fair enough.
I don't care that he's married to Kim Kardashian. I don't care that he's repulsive on social media. But I think he's fantastic. He produces all his music. He writes all his stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoy his music a lot.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him. What I would say, I don't listen to rap very much. I don't know much about it. But I will say, if I would go for any rap, it would be old school hip hop, stuff from the 80s almost. I love the Beastie Boys early stuff.
Beastie Boys.
This is from, I know I talked about NBA 2K13. They had Eric B. and Rakim in there. Their stuff from the 80s is just classic. I love that stuff. But if I'm going to go for rap, it's probably
Who
old
sang
school.
basketball? Who rapped basketball?
Curtis Blow.
Love
Curtis Blow, too. I usually go for old school hip hop just me personally, even though I don't know much about it.
That's old school.
Oh, yeah, that's 80s.
I thought you were Ice Cube and
no, even before that.
I don't like that. I probably might get hate for that. Biggie, I don't care.
Getting into it.
Tupac, don't care. Hey. No, I won't say it.
Okay.
Never mind. I won't say it.
But yeah. People, there's still good music out in the world.
Is.
Just go out and discover it. There's so much out there.
Yeah, don't just stick to Drake. Taylor Swift that music needs to die.
Just move on. Keep learning about
Ariana Grande, give her a year, then move on.
Give her whatever time you want. Everybody loves their own thing, but there's so much good out there to be discovered. Keep learning about new things. Keep discovering it. Show your friends. Give people new artists to listen to. Yeah. And that's all I can say about it. So I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yep. Signing off.
See you guys next time.